Cole Stangler with today's edition of Business. We're going to turn our eye now to sports. And James Vazina is here. James, let's get the latest on the Euro qualifiers because there's a problem in football. There were some pretty ugly scenes, I think it's fair to say, in that game last night in Bulgaria.
Some ugly scenes, an endemic problem it is. The football family must wage war on the racists. Those are the words of the UEFA chief after England's game in Bulgaria last night. And the association has now opened a probe against a sinister night in Sofia. Some fantastic football from the English team as they crushed their opponents 6-0, but a game that was overshadowed by racism from the home fans in the stands. Monkey noises heard from the early minutes of the game and Nazi salutes throughout. The referee stops play twice. And while Bulgaria's coach said he didn't hear any of the chanting and is still demanding proof it actually happened, the country's football chief has now resigned on instruction from the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, the team didn't walk off as they had threatened to ahead of the game. Gareth Southgate reminded us, however, that the England players don't have to travel all the way to Bulgaria to endure racist abuse.
Of course, we could be criticised for not going far enough, but I think we've made a huge statement. Sadly, my players, because of their experiences in our own country, are hardened to racism. And I don't know what that says about our society, but that's the reality. So that actually saddens me that when I speak to them about it, they are absolutely hardened to it.
And another game that's caused some controversy last night was France versus Turkey. The teams ended on a 1-1 tie at the Stade de France here in Paris. This after Kaan Ayhan equalised for the Turkish team. But that goal was celebrated with a military salute as players lined up on the pitch and fans joined in from the stands. The salute has been seen as a gesture of support for the country's troops' involvement in Syria over the past days. UEFA has already warned Turkey that they would be investigating the celebration after previous salutes in their games against Albania. That was last week. Words of warning, though, that didn't intimidate the team as they challenged the association's rule that prohibits political statements on the field. Now, to today's game, Finland have just beaten Armenia. That was 3-0. And later on, Sweden will be hosting Spain. The two top teams of Group F. A simple draw should be sufficient for Robert Moreno's side to qualify for the tournament. Spain will be without Sergio Ramos after he was booked in Oslo, while Sweden will be looking for revenge after their 3-0 defeat against the Spaniards. That was back in June. Over in Group D, Switzerland entertained group toppers Ireland. The Republic will be without David McGoldrick, as the Sheffield United frontsman is still recovering from a groin injury. But a win would boost them up to 15 points and see them qualify for the tournament. Italy travel to Liechtenstein, but they've already secured their place with 7 straight victories, while Romania hosts Norway in Bucharest. All of those games kicking off in just a couple of minutes' time, 8:45 French time. And finally, the route for next year's Tour de France has now been revealed as this year's winner, Egan Bernal, took to the stage. The cyclist will be leaving from Nice on the southern tip of the country, and it will set to be a challenge throughout all 21 stages. Heading towards the Pyrenees Mountains before crossing over to the Alps, it'll be one for the climbers, with a time trial set for the notorious Blanche des Belles Filles, where the gradient reaches 24%, and that's on unpaved roads. And the most prestigious cycling event also means prosperous times for villages it passes through. Many are already making plans for the tour, as Fraser Jackson reports.
Small town in southeastern France is gearing up to host the 2020 edition of the world's most famous cycling race. On the 29th of June, the riders will stop here in Sisteron for a quick overnight break.
I think it's great. Very good news.
It's going to breathe new life into cycling because there are fewer and fewer young people who are taking it up. And I think it'll motivate young people here to get on their bikes.
This won't be the first time Sisteron has hosted a stage of the tour. It passed through in 2010 and the entire town came out to cheer on the riders. With the tour comes a huge convoy of support vehicles. Parking space is therefore at a premium and roads must be in good condition. This car park was scheduled to be upgraded next year, but the arrival of the tour has brought the renovation forwards.
This is where the podium and the riders will be. It's a special moment because this is where the public can get closest to the riders.
The tour is expected to bring in around €2 million for the local economy. a fair return on the 200,000 euros that the council is investing in infrastructure. The last time Sisteron hosted a stage of the race, it led to years of increased tourism. Other regions will also be hoping to benefit as the Tour passes through the south of the country before heading north for the grueling mountain stage. The most prestigious cycling tour in the world will wrap up in Paris in mid-July.
Chris Froome has already reacted, Tom, saying it was going to be the hardest event he's seen in the last 5 years. Hopefully he'll be taking part after missing out this year's Tour.
Absolutely, it's amazing, isn't it? We're talking about it's in 8 months from now, but anyway, we're all getting excited getting excited for the Tour de France. Thank you very much indeed, James Vazina there with today's edition of Sports News. I'll be back in 3 minutes. Don't go away.